In this one, I'll be showing you how to upscale, enhance, and clean up old or low quality video footage with Topaz Video AI. It's available for Windows and Mac, and we'll be checking out the version for Windows, specifically version 6. I'm making this video with complete beginners in mind. Use the timestamps in the description to skip to the parts you want to see the most. Topaz Video AI requires a pretty beefy PC to run optimally. Upscaling videos can take hours to render depending on your settings, so the newer, the more powerful your GPU, the better. Topaz recommends at least 6 gigs of video RAM, but you really want at least 8 gigs. On my system, I have an AMD 7900 with 16 gigs of VRAM. What I recommend you do is download the trial version of Video AI, then open up the program. You want to go to Process, Benchmark. This will allow you to test the application against your PC's hardware. Select your input resolution. Let's say we wanted to input 720p video and hit Benchmark. The items on the left represent all the AI models, and these 1x, 2x, 4x represent upscaling that input at ×1, ×2, and ×4. The higher the FPS, the faster your rendering times will be, with ×1 being the fastest and ×4 upscales being the slowest. Keep in mind that these are just rough estimates, and depending on your upscale settings, these numbers will be lower. In addition to having a decent GPU, you'll want a CPU that can handle Video AI. Most recent CPUs from AMD and Intel should suffice. The program doesn't really hit the CPU that hard, however. While supported, guard against using CPU rendering, as it will take days to weeks to render just a small clip of video, even with the highest end CPUs. You'll want at least 16 gigs of RAM, the faster the better. Videos that have been AI upscaled can be gargantuan in size. If you plan to upscale lots of high quality footage, prepare to have a lot of disk space. A typical 30-minute high quality 720p 30fps video upscaled to 1080p 60 with the most optimal AI models and settings applied can be as large as 2.5 to 5 gigs. Lastly, you'll want to make sure you have stable and fast internet. Different AI settings will require downloading corresponding models. The models are only downloaded once, however. Topaz changes the interface of Video AI every major release, so I'll just cover the most common elements of the application. Drag and drop a video clip into the application. First is this main video area. This is where you can see your source and view previews. In Topaz 6, it introduces this tab workflow, and you can choose how to display these tabs with these buttons up here. The split view lets you compare 2 tabs at the same time, with this line where you can see more of the first tab or more of the second tab. This view lets you see 2 tabs in full at the same time. This timeline area down here is where you can scroll through with your mouse and select parts of the video that you want to preview. You can also zoom in and out using this scroll here. This blue button here lets you preview a couple of seconds of video. This sidebar is where all the action happens. This first tab is where you can apply upscale settings, such as resolution, frame rate, or apply AI models. The second tab lets you set output format options. It supports exporting to all the major formats. It also supports AV1, but as of right now, that requires an NVIDIA or an Intel GPU. One of the things that I strongly recommend you do before upscaling video is to adjust Video AI settings. Go to File, Preferences. Go through here and make all the changes you think you'll need, such as setting your default preview mode, zoom, and most importantly, make sure AI processor is set to your GPU and not your CPU or integrated graphics. So I've brought in this video clip that I downloaded for demonstration purposes. It's just a small 1080p 30fps video clip. It looks pretty decent, but let's take this video clip and upscale it to 4K. So I've got my original on the left here, and this untitled one is going to be my preview. Under output resolution, select 4K or 2x upscale. You'll notice that video type and AI model pops up, allowing you to choose between progressive interlaced and interlaced progressive AI models. This program has various different models for specific video types. This first one, Proteus, is the default. It's the perfect starting model if you're unsure of which other AI models you may need to use for your video. Then down under frame rate, we're going to go ahead and change this from 29 to 59.94. We won't worry about any other settings. Clicking on the arrow in this blue box here will allow you to preview the first 5 frames, 1 second all the way up to 30 seconds of video. I'll go ahead and preview 5 seconds, so select that and hit render. Up pops this green line, which shows the progress of rendering that preview. The higher you upscale, the longer this is going to take. And without even playing the preview, if we zoom in here, I'm using the mouse wheel, and take a look at the train, we'll see this slightly better, more improved detail. Same with the cars. So let's play this back. We can see the difference. If we're okay with the results, we can come up here to the second tab, codec settings, set our output options, and hit quick export or export as, where you can name the output file. I'll do quick export, and we'll see here in the export queue, our render shows us the time it's going to take. And if we click on any of the information, we get more detail about the output. So we'll let this run and then look at the results. All right, the video is done rendering. And if we click on this view export, it opens the video in our default video player. And yes, it's definitely much more improved. That was just a basic upscale example. So before we go into more advanced upscaling, let me introduce you to some of the AI models. Alright, so what I'm going to do is click on this little button so we can get a list of all the models with their descriptions. The first model, Proteus, that we looked at, as mentioned earlier, is the default model and provides general improvements for most videos. This is a good model if you don't need that much denoising. The Iris model is good for videos with lots of faces in it. Under Interlace, Iris low quality and medium quality provides nice enhancements to faces in low or medium quality videos. These models are not only good for faces, but they also work good for low quality videos in general. The next model is for denoising high quality videos. It also adds subtle smoothness to your videos. Anything shot in 1080p or better can benefit from this model. Here's a preview, 1 frame. If we look at the ground here, this is the original, and this is with Nix applied. You can see the difference. The Rhea model is a newer model recently introduced and is specifically tailored for improving videos if you plan to upscale 4x. Artemis is another denoising model but replaces the smoothness from Nix with more sharpness. This model works well for all types of videos. The Gaia model is the model you will be using for your super high quality upscaling. Your input needs to already be high quality 1080p or higher for Gaia to truly shine. This model also works well for upscaling animations. Theia is great for getting just a little bit more detail, clarity out of a video. For example, a clip where you want to get more detail out of someone's hair. Under Interlace and Interlace Progressive are these Dione models. These models are for cleaning up old or low quality video. Dione TV, for example, is perfect for analog video, and the DV variant is good for digital video. Each AI model has upscale settings specific to that model. Models like Proteus will let you dynamically or manually adjust things such as compression, how much to improve the detail, increase or decrease sharpening, and how much noise to reduce. Models like Proteus also let you automatically set parameters based on the current frame in the video area. Just select manual and hit estimate. Try testing different models and settings. Create or duplicate tabs, make adjustments, and compare the two. Here I've got 2 previews of this frame. On the left is Proteus and on the right is Artemis. We zoom in here. Let's compare the two. This is what Proteus looks like. This is what Artemis is looking like. We can see the detail in the trees, and Proteus is a little bit more grainy than Artemis. However, the text on the train have more artifacts in Artemis than with Proteus. If we look at the backlights on this car here, Artemis is a lot more detailed and brighter, and Proteus is a little bit more dimmed and smooth. If you ever forget which model does what, simply hover over the option AI model, and a description for each model will pop up, explaining what they're for. In fact, every option in VideoAI have these little descriptions. Now, there is no one-size-fits-all model in Topaz Video AI. So no, there is no going to the best model, quote unquote, where you can max out all the settings and have the perfect video. Let's look at upscaling in more detail. Let me first talk about input video. If you go under sources here, you can see all the videos you have in your project. Make sure your input video is as high quality as possible. It doesn't require any more modifications from other editors such as DaVinci Resolve or Premiere Pro. The video should basically be the final product whose quality you want to push further. Import uncompressed video if possible. Also, if your video has lots of detail, for example, trees full of leaves like this video does, these can produce absurdly large video files with some AI models, specifically Nick's. One project I worked on had 10 minutes of footage in a park and left me with an 11 gig 20-minute video clip. When I cut out the park portion, the video went from 11 gigs to 1.8 gigs. If you only want to upscale certain parts of a video, you can trim the video using these buttons down here, mark in and mark out. Simply set your starting point on the timeline, hit mark in, and then set your stop point and click mark out. So this is going to be the only portion of video that's going to be upscaled and exported. When selecting a resolution, Video AI will force you to pick an AI model, so you can't fake upscale video. When upscaling standard definition video to HD or higher, the crop setting will appear, and you can choose between letterboxing the video or cropping in the video. Letterbox will put black bars in the video, and crop to fill will crop in the video to fit into the HD resolution, which means you will lose some of the content around the edges of the video. If you bring in a video that have black bars around them, they can be removed with the crop tool. Down here, just click the crop button and then select what you want to crop out. And now you can use this for your upscale. Under custom resolution, you can prioritize width, height, or scale with the resolution, along with locking the aspect ratio. Let's look at some of the enhancement options. So add noise will allow you to add digital noise or artifacts into the video. This is good for texture smooth. Recover detail lets you set how much of the original video to introduce into the upscaled video. Set this low to favor more of the AI output. Set it higher to keep more of the original video quality. In this example, I've got two tabs. On the left, I've got recover detail set to the default of 20, and on the right I've got recover detail at 100%. Let's take a look at the difference here. So we zoom in, look at the trees on the left with 20 recover detail, and here's what it looks like with the recover detail set to max. It's a little bit smoother, but on the left it's more detailed. Top of the roof here. So you'll need to adjust this to determine how much of the original video you want to introduce into your upscaled results. Focus Fix helps improve out of focus video by first downscaling the video before upscaling it. You can set this to normal or strong. Grain lets you add a layer of grain on top of the video. This is good for creating more vintage look, but it's also useful for bringing out more detail, especially in skin. For 1080p and higher video, I'll apply just a little bit of grain, and it really helps with faces. In this example, on the left I've got grain disabled, so unchecked, and on the right, grain enabled with the grain amount set to 2 and the grain size set to 1. We zoom in here, we can see on the left we have no grain. On the right here, we can see the difference. Now you may think, well, this doesn't make any sense because why would you add grain? A lot of times when you're applying models, things like skin and objects, for example, inside a room, become way too smooth. So adding just a tad bit of grain from a distance, it can add a nice bit of definition, give things a little bit of a more realistic look. Some models such as Artemis let you choose the quality of the input to help the AI model along. I've got some clean standard definition video here, so I'll set this to medium and get a preview of that. And if we look, see the difference. It's the original. You can apply a second AI model to your video. This lets you combine two models to further enhance the quality of the video. This is disabled by default, so what you want to do is go to File, Preferences, and go down to Advanced. And make sure that you enable Show Second Enhancement feature. Then, select your first model. This is some high quality video footage, so what I'll do is select Gaia for my first model, set it to high quality. And then for my second model, we have all the options including Dione. I'm going to go ahead and select Nix because even though this is high quality video, there's a lot of noise that I want cleaned up. So we'll select Nix. I'm not going to mess with any of the parameters. I'll just keep it automatic. And let's scroll through here and go ahead and get 5 seconds of frames from this spot here. And if we look, the combination of Gaia and Nix really help improve the detail in this video. We look at the trees, for example. Here's the original, and here's with the combination of Gaia and Nix. And from a distance, when actually looking at the video, the trees look a lot more detailed. Even the text on the train is a little bit more legible. VideoAI will apply the first model and then apply the second on top of that. In some cases, the combination of two lesser models can produce better quality than the single model dedicated for specific videos. VideoAI allows you to convert from SDR to HDR using the HyperIon model. Motion Deblur with the Diamond model helps remove motion blur from moving objects in the video. Let's look at stabilization. So this video clip is nice and sharp, clean. However, it's very jittery and shaky and the camera's all over the place. If we enable stabilization, we can choose a method such as full frame or auto crop along with the strength. Let's just go ahead and get a sample of this. Let's do 5 seconds and see what we get. Here is destabilize. Pretty nice. In addition, you can apply corrections to rolling shutter. This is when your camera movement is going really fast. And jitter motion. I really like the quality of this Gaia Nix combination in this video clip. I'm going to go ahead and export it so we can see the finished product and pop player. Man, that was going to take 18 minutes. I had to close DaVinci. So we'll come back when this is done. All right, the video is done. Let's see what it looks like in Pop Player. And boy, oh boy, is it a lot more crisp. Let me go ahead and compare the two in Video Compare. And it's going to be hard to tell on YouTube, but definitely to my eyes, there is a big difference in the detail with the trees, the roof of this building, and of course the train that comes in, which goes from really grainy to a lot more sharp. Very nice. Let's talk about frame interpolation. So when converting frame rate, like going from 30 to 60 FPS, you need to specify a frame interpolation model. Now, frame interpolation is the technique whereby VideoAI will create frames where none exist. It's the additional 30 FPS you magically get when upscaling from 30 to 60 FPS. The Apollo model is good for videos with unsteady movement. Apollo Fast is good for videos with little to no movement. Chronos is good for frame conversion along with slow motion videos. Chronos Fast is a good model for videos with fast, rapid movement. Aeon is a newer model and based off of Apollo, which specializes in high quality x16 slow motion. Honestly though, I just stick with Chronos Fast because whenever I use Apollo, at least for the videos that I upscale, they all have rapid movement. And I don't work with slow motion video. By the way, the fast variants of these models don't necessarily mean that they're going to render any faster. Down here where it says duplicate frames in this checkbox replace, when checked, VideoAI will remove any duplicate frames that are the same. And you can set how sensitive this is. Don't set this too high else you'll end up with stuttery video. Okay, so what I'm going to do is set this to 10 seconds. We're going to render out a 10-second preview. We've got Nix model, and I'm converting this from 30 FPS to 60. Let's see what the results will look like. All right, it's done. Here's the original. And here is the 60 FPS version. Nice. Let's look at cleaning up video. Here's a video from V Westlife's YouTube channel. Fantastic channel for retro 80s, 90s, and early 2000s computers, audio, and camera tech. Since he purposely recorded this video of this camcorder in standard definition, I thought it'd be a great sample to test cleaning up video. That how well this program improves the quality of your videos is heavily dependent on the input material you give it. VideoAI cannot work miracles. I'm going to go ahead, do split view, and I'm going to create about 4 tabs. And I'd like to test a couple of models on this video. So I'm going to keep the resolution set to 640, add an enhancement, and I'm going to try out first iris since it's starred. And these little stars next to the model is VideoAI's way of telling you it thinks you should be using these models for the video. So I'll go ahead and have iris here for this first tab. I'll call it iris. For the second tab, I'm going to be using Proteus. Just call it Pro. For the third tab, I want to test Artemis. For the fourth tab, I'd like to test DV, Dione. We'll do Dione DV and Dione TV. Duplicate that, and this is going to be the same, but TV. Let's first test iris. Generally, I just leave add noise and recover details set to their defaults, and I mostly just work with the input condition. I don't bother using grain for old or standard resolution video unless there's a lot of smooth textures in it. So I'll set this to medium quality. I don't want to spend time on parameters because this video is already longer than I want it to be. And I'm going to generate 1 second of video. Actually, we'll do 5 and hit render. And I'm going to do a render on all of these. And we'll go ahead and compare them. All right, so here's the original. Here's Proteus, which looks a lot better. Artemis, which is even better. It's more sharp though. DV, which and then TV, which looks about exactly the same. So I like Proteus and Artemis, so I'm going to get rid of the other 2 tabs or 3 tabs, and I'm going to compare these 2. So we can see here, Proteus on the left, Artemis on the right. So basically we need to determine if we want more smoothness or want a little bit more detail. For this one, I'm going to choose Artemis and render that out. And we'll let this complete. All right, it's done. Let's go ahead and view it in Pop Player. And yes, it's a lot cleaner now. Now, of course, the video was already really clean standard definition video. So we just improved it just a little bit. VideoAI is perfect for upscaling animations or computer generated content. In this one, I've got a 720p clip that I'd like to upscale to 1080p. I'm going to enable enhancement 1080p. The program is giving us a few options that it thinks we should be using for the models. For the first one, we'll look at Gaia, and we set the input type to computer generated since this is an animation, and we'll take this up to 60 FPS. We're going to create another tab here. I'm just going to duplicate this, and we're going to try out Proteus with automatic parameters, same 60 FPS, and then one more for Rhea. Let's go ahead and make 5-second clips, previews of these. All right, it's complete. Here's what the original looks like. Here's what Gaia looks like. Here's what we got for Proteus. Here's Rhea. We're getting more detail with the lines. However, some detail is faded, like this sweat bubble here, compared to Proteus and especially Gaia. What I like to do now is make another one. Actually, we'll just duplicate Proteus, and I'm going to add a second enhancement. We'll add Rhea and get a sample of that. All right, it's complete, and boy, does that look sharp. Let's go ahead and compare it with the original. And it's what we got for the original. We'll zoom in here. And here's what we get for the enhancement. Let's play it back. Very nice. In this one, we have a 720p clip at 25 FPS. We'll go ahead and upscale it to 1080p. And I'm going to apply the Gaia model and set it to computer generated, along with the Rhea model. And I'm going to leave parameters alone. And I am going to double the frame rate to 50. It will generate a 5-second sample of that. All right, it's done. Here's the original. And here is the upscaled. The original and the upscaled. Look at that. And finally, let's look at upscaling high quality 4K 60 FPS crisp clean video. Here I have a 1080p 24 FPS video clip. It's pretty nice quality, but it is stuttering. We'll go ahead and upscale this to 4K and increase those frames, along with producing stunning quality. There are quite a few models I want to test with this one, so we're going to go ahead and make a few tabs. We're going to do 4K upscale, and the first model we'll be looking at is Proteus. I'm going to increase those frames to 60. I could just double the frames, but I'm going to go straight to 60. I'm going to be using the Apollo model for this one. We'll duplicate this tab, and for the second model I want to test Artemis for denoising and sharpening. We're going to set the input quality to high. Everything else is going to remain the same. And we're going to have another tab for NICs. We'll be using the NICs model. Now, under model variant, we've got NICs and NICs fast. I don't use NICs fast because it's not as good as NICs. It processes fast, but it produces worse results. So I'm going to stick with regular NICs. And one more, I'm going to test out Gaia. I'm going to set that to high quality. And we're going to go ahead and create some previews. I'm going to pick a spot here. This looks good. And we're going to generate about 5 seconds of video clip. All right, they're done. Let's zoom in here and see the comparisons. Lots of detail in these rocks here. So here's the original. Here's Proteus. Here's Artemis. Here's NICs. Some bit more smooth. Gaia. And to my eyes, Proteus and Artemis looks the best. We'll get rid of these two. Here's Proteus. And here is Artemis. Let's go ahead and duplicate Artemis. And let's see what happens when we combine the two. So we'll keep Artemis and we'll add another enhancement. Now, keep in mind that adding a second enhancement, while nice, will produce longer rendering times in larger files. But this is a short clip, so we'll go ahead and select Proteus, get a sample of that. All right, it's done. Here's the original. Here's the combination of Artemis and Proteus. Here's it compared to Proteus. Here's Artemis and Proteus Artemis. Let's go ahead and play it back. Understand that I've been using automatic settings for demonstration purposes throughout this video. When you fine-tune these parameters, you can produce even better results. Here I've zoomed into the rocks, enabled parameters, allowed it to estimate manual parameters, and I lowered the fixed compression down to 20 for the Proteus model. So the example that I just full screen for you, this is what automatic Proteus model would look like. And when we enable parameters and lower that fixed compression, we get even more detail out of the rocks. Look down here. Automatic, manual control. Some projects I've spent hours just fine-tuning these while mixing and matching different AI models. Two great online resources for help with video AI is the Topaz Docs, which goes into great detail about each specific option and AI model with examples. The Topaz Labs subreddit is also good for getting help, and the sub is very active. There's the Topaz forum as well, where you can go and get help and get some ideas for future projects. Before I end this video, I need to talk about the pros and cons of this application. Let's start with the cons. So for a $300 piece of software, VideoAI is one of the most clunky, unpolished, and frankly frustrating programs I've ever used. While it produces results, getting there will be a pain at times. With each major release, the application changes the UI slightly, introducing new bugs, and overall for the worse. For example, before, your sources and export could be seen along with the timeline without having to click and open these separate tabs. Here's what the interface looked like in version 4, and your exports on this side, and you can see everything at once. Sometimes rendering previews produce errors, but the program doesn't explain them, and it just tells you to contact support. Sometimes previews will go through the motion of rendering, but then when it completes, the preview simply disappears, like it vanishes from the timeline, and you have to re-render the preview. When exporting a video, you cannot generate new previews unless you set max processes to 2 or more. But if you forget to set this back to 1, the program will attempt to export multiple videos at the same time when you only want to export one at a time. VideoAI recently introduced the ability to save your work with the projects feature. Yes, it took them this long to introduce such a thing. However, if you move the project files, say to a different folder, and then attempt to open the project, it will recreate the original location where you saved the work. Now it's back on the desktop, and any future changes will be saved to that original location. Meaning, in order for you to actually move your projects, you have to resave as. Sometimes the export list will clear itself when you're busy working on another video. The program will still be using resources, but it will not finalize the export, essentially crashing. While VideoAI supports slow motion, forget about using it in this program because it is absurdly slow. Do your slow motion work in your video editor like DaVinci, and then bring it into VideoAI. And these are just a few issues I've run into. Previous versions like VideoAI 4 and 5 have fewer issues. Despite all the issues with this program, VideoAI is still my go-to because it produces the best results the fastest. Well, as fast as a program like this can be. I've tried many other upscalers, but VideoAI, especially when you really fine-tune the settings, is unmatched. It's super user-friendly. I love the fact that it has little descriptions for every option. It has support for all the major formats like HEVC, ProRes, and AV1, along with uncompressed format. It's perfect for upscaling and improving animation quality, and while it doesn't support custom AI models, it has a good amount of its own model for all kinds of video. So that's a look at Topaz Video AI. Stick around because I've got some more AI enhancement software content coming soon.